What's up, people? It's me, Average Iron here, with a second episode of Football Weekly Ramblings, the series where I just ramble about football, giving my opinions about everything. Let's get on with the football matches and all the results that has happened. Starting off, we begin with the FA Trophy final as Gateshead faced up against Solihull, but Solihull apparently balled again, and Gateshead won the FA Trophy. And I guess Solihull had double the bad luck at Wembley, unfortunately, so I guess that's that for them. Then was the North London versus Manchester battles as Arsenal faced up against Man United in what I can describe a very boring match, in which Arsenal scored one goal through Trossard at Old Trafford. But the main story of Old Trafford was the floods, as the stadium is just in absolute ruin and the rain has absolutely battered the stadium to no end. And Ineos, they won't do anything. Glazers, they're to blame for everything as per usual. And the football was just superb. However, when Manchester United had faced off against Newcastle on the same day as the Romanian Cup, and they won 3-2 in a very exhilarating game, and Erik ten Hag promised that they will win the FA Cup. With Man City, I don't even know, bro. I don't even know, man. I don't even know, but we shall see how that goes. But speaking of Man City, they faced off against Tottenham at the Tottenham Stadium, and it was a 2-0 easy victory, with Haaland scoring 2 goals. The first one very easily, and the second one being through a penalty. And then we had Dragoshin blocking the ball with a headbutt to half time, and that was a funny moment. But other than that, Tottenham basically did not allow Arsenal the glory and the Premier League victory. So Man City has the upper hand and could make it 4 in a row as they face off against West Ham at the Premier League finale. And as for Arsenal, they'll just need to win and hope Man City somehow choke the Moyes, but that'll be the odds, the chances of that are pretty low, but we shall see how that goes. I'll discuss about that in a moment. And the main segment of today's episode is Corvinul Hunedoara versus Oțelul Galați in the battle of the Romanian Cup final. And what a final that was. We had Oțelul Galați score the first goal, which then Corvinul struck back with a 1-1. Then Oțelul scored again with a 2-1, but Corvinul struck back with a 2-2. But let's not forget, Oțelul's first goal was a pretty good free kick, but Corvinul's goals were far more impeccable, I guess, as Corvinul have fought hard and kept their team spirit going. And then they went to extra time, which nothing happened. And then the penalty shootout, which you can find out my reaction on TikTok. And I can show a snippet of that moment in this video, I guess. Bine, bă! Bine, bă! Câștiga Corvinul cupa! But overall, the penalty shootout was incredible. Oțelul pretty much didn't make it. And Corvinul Hunedoara are Romanian Cup champions. And what can I say, as a person who was born in the Hunedoara County, it's such an amazing moment for Romanian football. Despite the fact they can't make it to the first league, they'll play in the Europa League, potentially. So it's just incredible to fathom that Corvinul Hunedoara is going to Europe, potentially. But we shall see how that goes. But overall, Hai Corvinul! And up next, it's the Championship playoff battles, as yesterday Leeds have demolished Norwich 4-0 in a pretty good result. I thought Leeds didn't have the chances. They pretty much didn't make it in the top 2. But now with that big victory in the playoffs, they're going to Wembley and they will potentially face West Brom or Southampton. And generally speaking, after that 0-0 boring draw in the first leg, I think Southampton might do it. They might do it, but if West Brom make it, whichever it is, it's going to be interesting at Wembley. But yeah, in terms of the Championship, there's still a lot to talk about, and we shall see how things go in regards to that. Speaking of the EFL Play-Offs, we have Bolton versus Oxford this weekend, and I think Oxford, they might have a shot to go to the Championship, but Bolton are probably the favourites to go up. But we shall see how that goes. Yeah, League One, I think Bolton will make it in the playoff final and go to the championship alongside Portsmouth and Derby County, and it's just exciting times and lots of matches at Wembley. This weekend we have the Premier League finale, in which, as I've discussed, Man City and Arsenal will battle it out for the title. If West Ham somehow pulls off a shocker, then Arsenal can win it. If West Ham draw, then it's all about goal difference in regards to that. But I think Man City's gonna do 4 in a row because to be honest, Man City are just unstoppable. And what can I say? Arsenal failed. Aston Villa, they qualified to the Champions League after Tottenham lost to Man City, and we shall see how that goes. And Unai Emery, world class manager, we can expect anything. And from his previous experiences, he managed to get Villarreal all the way to the semi-finals, and who knows, maybe they'll do a less than make it all the way to the quarters. But with this new league system, we shall see how that goes. And then there's Bundesliga, one last match to make Leverkusen the Invincibles, but they still got that treble going. And next week they have the DFB Pokal and the Europa League final back to back. Well, Wednesday and Saturday. And it's going to get crazy. Like, that match is just going to be absolutely insane. But first and foremost, they need to beat Augsburg to secure that invincible spot in the Bundesliga. And I think that's going to be just insane. And in terms of the Premier League relegation battle, it's just Nottingham and Luton. But Luton pretty much mathematically are gone. Relegated possibly in the last match of the Premier League. And yeah, this weekend is stacked with last matches for the season, basically season finales and whatnot, before the Euros and whatnot. And lastly, in terms of other news, Celtic beat Rangers last week. They'll face off again next week in the Scottish Cup final, which means another old firm battle between the two, and anything goes in regards to Celtic and Rangers, to be honest. So I have no idea who will win, so I just had to discuss about that briefly. Mbappe leaves PSG, as PSG lost to Toulouse, but they then won against Nice. So I guess Mbappe just is free agenting for now until his inevitable Real Madrid signing. Well, who knows? The League 2 playoff, Crawley against Crewe, and Crawley battered Milton Keynes Dons to an absolute bit. And I'm thinking Crawley might do it and get back to League 1. But you never know with Crewe either. So my prediction, I think Crawley will win, but if Crewe wins, I wouldn't be surprised. And with League 1, Bolton will win, and in the Championship, it's gonna be Leeds with Southampton for next week probably. And another thing is the Liga finale, and I think the biggest story mostly is Stade Brestois to potentially make it to the Champions League stage or playoffs. They already made it to the playoffs, but if they make the league stage, that'll be huge, because we already got new teams like Girona and Aston Villa already qualified to the Champions League next season, and it's just interesting. New teams and new opportunities. And if Leverkusen wins the Europa League, that'll be in the Champions League. So, and Bundesliga already got like 5-6 teams in the Champions League. It's just crazy, and yeah, I'm just rambling along at this point. And lastly, in the other news section, Beşiktaş Trabzonspor, the Turkish Cup final, and the Turkish league has been insane, to say the least. And then yeah, next week, the DFB Pokal, lots of cup finals next week Saturday, which is gonna be absolutely insane. And there's also the Asia and Africa Champions League finals, which is cool, which will determine the new FIFA Intercontinental Cup, which is basically just the Club World Cup replacement, I guess, because of the FIFA Club World Cup thing in a couple of years' time. And yeah, the last thing before I wrap up is my predictions for the Europa League final. Leverkusen Atalanta is going to go down to the wire, but I think Leverkusen with a last minute winner, either in the 90th minute or the 120th minute. But Atalanta have been pretty deadly, and I think they're the biggest threat to Leverkusen not making the invincible treble. Because compared to, I don't know, Augsburg and Kaiserslautern, it's going to be interesting with Leverkusen. it's a must watch, the last couple matches with them. And we shall see how that goes. And lastly, the FA Cup for next week. My predictions for that. Man City will probably win. But if Manchester United win, if Erik ten Hag goes like Louis van Gaal, so be it. If he remains, just sell all the deadwood and buy new players and whatnot. It's gonna be crazy with the Manchester derby because it's the second time round compared to last year where they lost 2-1. So next week is so stacked because the Europa League final on Wednesday and then the various cup finals alongside that on Saturdays. So lots of football still to talk about in this month. We're already halfway through the month and things are picking up, and we've still got a couple cup finals, then the Champions League final on the 1st of June, and then finally the Euros, which I'll make a predictions video as soon as possible. And that's about that. So yeah, today this was Football Weekly Ramblings Week 2, and yeah, that's everything that is to talk about really, and that's about it. I've been Average Giant, until next time.